give that. Preston's having some camera issues.
All good. Your volume went out a little bit too, Justin, just so you know.
Okay. That's
Now you're good.
sometimes my computer will far.
Fernando, what are you driving?
Box truck.
I was about to say, I'm like, that does not look like a car. Oh, we got new
There.
member. There he is. What's
Good
up,
morning.
Preston?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Honored, grateful to have you come in here. We thank you to Justin for bringing you in. Just want to let you know, ever since Justin spoke to you, I just like I tell everybody, follow your account because you deliver phenomenal content that everybody can continue to learn from. So I would suggest, guys, everybody remember, follow Preston after this call on Instagram because you will continue to learn from him as you follow him. Just the same way that everybody should be learning from you as they follow you about what your business is, that we always say, audit yourself. If people follow you and they can't learn about your business, you need to change that, right? And Preston's a phenomenal example of this. So, Justin, I just want to give it to you. You brought Preston in. I want you to give Preston the intro that he deserves, that man. And then we'll kind of get into this, guys. I'm excited for you all to learn from this this next speaker, and the floor is yours, Justin.
Awesome. Yes, it's my honor to present you guys Preston Brown. So for those of you who follow myself and my mother, you probably see some of the crazy trips that she goes on, and a lot that we've implemented within our business. And a lot of that is due to Preston. He's from El Paso, Texas. I believe about 17 businesses or so, Preston, the number roundabout. Cut his teeth in the real estate industry and kind of expanded from there, and then runs this YBL group, Your Best Life. The vast majority of the members, I believe, are millionaires up to billionaires. So there's a lot of different thoughts, different processes that they go through. It's the entire sphere, just like what we focus on here, more than business. And what I really love about their group is that it's made for the couple. So a lot of groups, when you join, it's just for you. And what Preston realized was the frequencies were off between couples because you would go away, work on yourself, your significant other was back home, and they weren't on that same vibration as you. And it started to kind of destroy, relationships. And he wanted to make sure that folks didn't have to deal with that. So when you join his group, it is for two people, it's for the couple. That way everybody can kind of grow together and be in that harmony. That's what really attracted me to Preston outside of a lot of things that come out of his mouth. He has a great mind, and it's always amazing conversation. He's very good at leaving you in a much better state than he found you in. So without further ado, Preston, take it over, my friend.
My God, how do I follow that? Thank you. Thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere, Justin, Devin. What do you guys want? Before I say anything, can I make sure, and I don't know you guys' group, but I always like to kind of preface this way. I am politically incorrect, which means authentic and honest. Sometimes people have learned that there's a new magic word in today's society. It used to be please and thank you. Now it's I'm offended. So can everybody go like this? And if anybody on the call actually has virgin ears, we'll have solved that shit really quick. And then we can have just a real and authentic conversation. Cool. Thank you guys, for having me. And I'd love to offer as much value as possible. Everybody goes and hears about the guy and I have now 18 companies, and they hear, oh, he drives the car that costs more than the average house. Oh, he owns multiple airplanes, and everybody judges stories by the ending. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the beginning, because I think if you don't know the beginning of the story, then you actually don't know the real story. Like, history is called his story because it's his story, right? And everybody has a story. Stories are the most influential things that we ever deal with. Facts may tell, but stories are what's going to sell. And the story that we have for ourselves sells ourselves to ourselves and everybody else. It's critical in relationships. So before I walk in and you guys go and say, oh, it's some rich motherfucker that coaches billionaires, he's probably just another guy with a group, another guru or wannabe guru. And no, it's not my group, Justin. It's our group. We have no gurus. There's nothing like that. Everybody is authentic, humble, and connected. But getting into my story, and then we can just go Q&A style if you guys want, or I can do a presentation. It's really whatever you guys want and how I can serve and add value. But my story, I was a broke kid, from a trailer park in Cañutillo, Texas. My dad wanted probably what a lot of you all wanted. He wanted to have that lifestyle he watched on TV. Okay. And so he decided, oh, I'm going to do the American dream thing. I'm going to open a business. My dad was a genius. Okay. The man was beautiful, 6'4", tall, broad shoulders. You can tell nothing like me. I've got the giant head and the tiny shoulders. I look like something out of Bobby's World. If you guys ever remember that TV show. No, my dad was like the star football player, caught the ball in one end zone, ran it to the other end zone. Like, you know, might have dated the prom queen and did something naughty on the dance floor at prom. Like, he was that badass. Okay. Like, he was the man's man. And he was like my hero. Well, my dad was not a business guy. He was a hard worker. He was heart-centered, which most entrepreneurs are. And this guy went out in the little shed next to our trailer and he just worked, sometimes 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. And I remember we stole an air conditioner from some neighbor's yard, one of those evaporative cooling units that just helps everybody sweat a lot. And we installed it in that shed because we wanted to make sure he didn't die of heat stroke in the El Paso sun, and it gets hot as hell down here. And this went on. He went to work, went by for a few months, and I had the most loving family on the planet. So I knew that something was wrong one day when this fight started. And my mom had lost her job. She'd lost her job a week or two before. And there were never fights. There was lots of love. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of love. But you take away the little money that's left, and you're going to get that passion that's going to come out of some folks, right? And I don't remember all the words my mom said, but she said the following words: a real man knows how to feed his family. Go collect what you're owed, or don't come home. And one thing about my mom, she was incredible, but she never kidded around. Very passionate woman. In fact, my wife and my mom came up with a term. They call it bitch, and it means babe in total control of herself. It's an acronym. So to all the bitches out there, you're just like my mom and my wife, badass women. Hell yeah. And so anytime she would speak, my dad knew she was serious. And I knew she was serious. And so this was terrifying for me at all of 7 years old. And I got to be the charity case. I drove up with my dad to go meet some guy that he'd done a ton of work for. And when we arrive at this guy's house, I knew what was going to happen. My dad's towering over this guy. He's 6'4". This guy's all of about 5'9". And I knew he was going to demand his money, and he was going to get it. He could kill this guy with a napkin. That's not how any good story ends. And this one didn't either. So my dad went to demanding, went to asking. That turned into something akin to begging and groveling. And that followed through with eventually, after a long conversation where this guy way out negotiated my dad, pulled a wad of money out of his pocket and put it in my dad's hand. It was probably $80, $100. It wasn't a lot, but it was thousands less than what he was owed. And we went down to a local Smith's. It's in Albertsons now. I got to ride home with a box of ramen noodles on my lap, talking to my dad the whole time, trying to ask him what was going on. The guy never talked much either way, but this day he didn't talk at all. And my big, powerful, stoic father's got a tear dropping down his eye. And I knew something was broken. The next day, he locked his shed in the morning, and he went out and he got a job. And he quit his dreams for business, and he gave up. That story was a gift for me because at 7 years old, I learned a very important lesson about hating someone. If I'd had a gun in that moment, I'd have shot that man that took advantage of my dad. That man sent me on a journey, and my dad sent me on a journey that turned me into a corporate asshole. Now, my mom being a psychology gal, and a beautiful, loving, wonderful psychology gal, but a psychology gal nonetheless, she understood how to influence people. And just little tidbit. Do you guys know there's no such thing as a born leader? There are lots of born manipulators. There are no born leaders. Leader is a maturity that grows out of manipulator, okay? You can become a leader from a manipulator, but you are not born a leader. There's no such thing. And if you got that great, really sharp kid, he's not a born leader. She's not a born leader. They're born manipulators. Make sure you don't entitle that because it can go real wrong. But my mom would always say, figure out the game. And when you know the game, you know how to win. And I took that to heart. And I knew that this man had used a game against my father, and the game was money. And it made a real simple switch in my mind. I didn't care if I had to be hated. I didn't care if I had to be feared. I'd rather be loved. But it didn't matter what. I was never going to let money be my God the way that it was my father's God that day. I would never have to compromise on my dreams the way he did that day. And I didn't care who I had to become. And I did not become somebody great. For those of you guys that are maybe didn't like the way that Donald Trump talked, oof, you'd have hated me. Things came out of my mouth that would have made people absolutely shocked, blown them out of the water. Like, just, I was negative, I was toxic, I was corporate, I was cutthroat, but I was sharp. And I would go in and I would figure out the game and learn how to win. And I would build businesses. And I started with a home flipping wholesaling business, and that turned into a property management business, and that turned into a hard money lending company, and that turned into a brokerage. And then all of a sudden I started acquiring, setting up, and scaling all of these different businesses, and they all started growing. And we became the industry leader in every area because there was always a game, and there was always a way to win. And that blew up and blew up and blew up. And I took all my wealth and I reinvested it in real estate, and I've gotten fairly wealthy. And one day in 2019, I get a phone call from my brother. And my brother's phone call was, it was probably the worst moment of my life. He says, dude, you need to come over to your mom's house. I said, what do you mean? He said, you need to get over here. Your dad's gone. And I didn't even need to ask, even though I did. I said, where'd he go? But I knew what he meant. You guys ever had that like sync? Like that's just that feeling where you just know. And it was the longest drive I've ever taken across town, crying the whole way. I got there and I see my regal, beautiful mother crumpled into a ball. What was left of my dad lying on the floor. He'd gone to sleep in his favorite chair and just didn't wake up and went home. I'm looking around. This is 2019, just a few years ago. I'm looking at my family, and that was the first time I realized, holy shit, none of us are going to make it out of this thing alive. I went and built wealth. I went and built companies. I went and built success. And I would trade 10 times more than what I have today for 10 minutes with Dad. And it was this horrible pain point. And then I started looking around at everybody else. And I saw how broken they were. And if there's one good thing about entrepreneurship, it's a blood sport, guys. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You win or your competitors win. And it's a blood sport. So, I mean, it makes us tough and it gives us some resilience, right? I'll give you guys a formula for managing stress today, which has helped me through the years and made me very resilient. So make sure we talk about that later. But I immediately knew I had to step in. And I stepped in, and I stepped in to do what I knew how to do. I started remodeling my mother's house and doing all the shit my dad and his pride would never let me do before. I started helping my sister buy a house. I started doing real estate stuff for them, but at least get their mind off it, right? Trying to make their lives better. And I was blessed. A few weeks later, I was actually got to go be with Justin's mom, Renee. And I had a Date with Destiny event with Tony Robbins scheduled. And this was a good moment because I'd never lost anyone. And for those of you guys that have lost someone, you know that it's the deepest wound you can ever take. I remember watching The Walking Dead before I got to that Tony Robbins event. And I was looking at the zombies on the screen. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, why do they look better than I feel? Because that's how I was inside. And I get to this Robbins event, and I was a pretty big fan of Robbins at that time. And I'm paying him a lot of money, sitting in the front row, all that kind of stuff. And I've missed the whole event. I've missed it. I normally, like, I'm the guy taking notes, studious, everything he says. I'm like, but I couldn't hear anything. And this next moment, it happened for me. Like, it was perfect. Tony's standing there next to me. I'm sitting there kind of looking up, trying to pretend to take notes and pay attention. And he's talking to some girl a few rows behind me. And I clue in that he's talking to her about somebody that she's lost. I think it was her mother. And so all of a sudden it's relevant and I'm paying attention. And I couldn't pay attention to anything except my pain before this moment on this trip. And so I looked up and I looked at her and I looked up at him, and he really is that tall and his teeth really are that fucking big. Looks like he's going to eat you every time you see him. But it was beautiful because he looks at me, he puts his hand down on my shoulder, and he looks back at her and he says, you're not suffering in the fact. You're suffering in the perception of the fact. And I wrote it down, but I had no idea what he meant. And luckily, she didn't either. And then he says, you're not suffering because your mother's gone. You're suffering because your expectation is for her to still be here. And that I got. I wrote down expectations are the mother of all suffering. And it became this magical moment. Of course, immediately, like I'm a good, as you would call it, mismatcher. Anytime somebody says anything, I always question, is it true? What's real? And so then I thought about some other stuff that Tony had said that I listened to. And let's see if I can do my Tony impression here. You want a better life? Raise your fucking standards, right? And so I was like, oh shit. So what's the difference between a standard and expectation? What's the difference? And it hit me. It was real simple. No different than all that stuff we just celebrated in the relationships we hopefully had yesterday, right? A standard is something where you have an agreement. Like my wife and I have a standard. We have a commitment. We have vows. We have things that we have agreed upon. You know, now say I'd never married her, but I'm expecting to have and to hold in sickness and health till death do us part. Well, that'd be an expectation. I should at least communicate what I want, right? Could call it an engagement. And so an expectation is when you're placing something out into the universe on the way things should be, but you've never communicated that that's the way they should be. And it became this magic moment for me, and I started going to war with everything. All of the expectations I had, I went to war with. I used to be the guy with road rage. It was weird. It was gone. Because all of a sudden, I didn't have an expectation of how that idiot was supposed to drive. I'd never taught him to drive. It wasn't my job. So I didn't have to be put into that situation of suffering based on his behaviors. In my 86,400 seconds a day, his 3 seconds weren't going to ruin my day, right? I didn't have the same level of expectations of my wife or my kids, and my relationship started taking off. I stopped putting so many expectations on myself and actually thought about like, well, you know, what do I really want? What's this? What's that? And I got happier and more authentic and more real. Then all of a sudden, a lot more people wanted to be around me. I had a social media brand that started blowing up. Like it was, everything's just started checking the box. And my tens of millions of dollars in net worth and real estate equity and businesses, one of my companies took off and we got a $105 million valuation on that company. Then we had another company take off. And I think that one was at 60 million. And I start realizing, oh God, I got out of my own way by following a model, the model that Justin talked about, okay, the 4 cores of the human experience: faith, family, fitness, finance. And these 4 things, no different than the fingers on my hand, they're not the same thing. This finger is not the same as this finger, but they are tethered to one another. So I spent all of my life up until that moment with money as the meaning of life. Why? Faith, family, fitness, finance. I had to solve the pain that my father had. So I was impacted by family. Money was the meaning of life because I needed to heal the wound that I felt he had when I was 7 years old. And then the worst moment of my life, when he passed, became the best moment of my life because it shifted the thinking. What if money wasn't the meaning of life? What if it was love as the meaning of life? What if these 4 cores, where progress equals happiness, are just ways that we link to that? And there's formulas that you can use and leverage, whether it's faith, family, fitness, or finance, to have a better life. If progress equals happiness and you have a goal here, or you have an anchor here, you're not going to progress unless you solve the actual problem. The biggest problem we have in life is we think we shouldn't have any fucking problems. And what we should do, like, you know, people go to a Bible study and they study their God. You know, if you're smart, you go study your spouse, you learn everything about her or him, try to figure out what makes them tick. I mean, if you're a good entrepreneur, you know, hey, find out what that customer wants, right? Go get that thing, give it to them. What about your spouse? Find out what that customer wants. Go get that, give it to them. You have a raving fan there because you remarket properly. You're probably happy as pie all day long, all night long, hopefully all night long, right? And it was crazy. Once I started getting all the pain points out of my way, the problems started becoming accelerators. Life started being a gift. An organization I didn't intend to explode, YBL, which wasn't intended to explode. YBL was supposed to be like 10 of us, me, Renee, my friends at Guthrie's, traveling the world. Well, somehow, even that, and Justin can tell you the story, it's fun. I guess we triggered somebody in the Tony Robbins organization. So next thing I know, I'm getting sued by my mentor. He didn't want us to have an organization that was traveling and teaching stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, what? How do we trigger the abundance guy? And that, at first it bothered me like it would, right? And, you know, eventually we wound up settling that. And you know what that lawsuit turned into? the best advertisement ever. And all of a sudden, our group that was supposed to be 10 people blew up to, I think, somewhere between 90 and 100 now. And we cap at 100. We're going to frickin' Vail, Colorado next week. We're going to Rwanda on a gorilla trip later this month. I think we're going to Italy for, I think that one's the fitness trip. In Rwanda, we have Dr. John Gray coming to teach everybody. A man who's been widowed, who's been divorced, who's been, you name it. He's been in every part of those relationships. Best-selling author, beautiful. And we don't let the gurus sell from stage and leave. We make them come and play with us. That guy's got to be hanging out on a gorilla trek with us. Don't piss off the silverback. We want to see who you really are, fucker. And so our speakers, we get not just to learn from them, but also to feel them as human beings. And so what most people would be terrified of turned into a beautiful gift. My mentor sues me and it blows up another company. What the fuck? Like, it's just, everything in your life is a gift. And it's led me to this beautiful understanding. The point of life. And if you guys get nothing else from this talk, I hope you get this. The point of life is problems. When you're born, the leading cause of death for women over the last 40,000 years of human history has been childbirth. That's a problem. The best moments in your life are overcoming adversity. Oh, weird. Okay. That's another way of saying solving problems. And how do we leave this world? We pass. We go home. That's a fucking problem. So which gift are you underwriting improperly? Which one of your worst moments stayed the worst moment instead of you underwriting it as the best moment? Yeah, I may be the guy that's got a couple $100 million in net worth and a crazy fucking lifestyle. But most of my net worth came when I stopped giving a shit about money. Like, I was the ruthless guy that got up to the 10 million bracket. Then I gave up the ruthlessness and fell in love. And you know why they call it falling? Let me explain this. There's no controlled landing. There's no controlled landing. It's called falling in love because there's a fall. It's called a breakthrough because something has to fucking break. And when you get that love is the meaning of life, oh my God, it changes everything. And abundance is real and flow is real. So I probably went a little more woo-woo than most of the entrepreneurs you guys get on these calls. But let's go Q&A. What do you guys want to know? I mean, I'm known for being the formula guy. And so I've got formulas for everything. Formulas for building a company culture, capacity in your company, clarity in your company, cash in your company. I've got formulas for problem solving. I've got formulas for relationship development and management. I mean, I'm the nerd. Giant head, tiny shoulders. But I gave you the very high level approach, what I learned and how I learned it. And now let's go solve your problems and figure out what you guys' needs are so I can deliver the most value to your group.
So Preston, I can relate, and I've had this conversation with so many people about how you say, you know, people's biggest problem is they think that they're not going to have problems. And so many entrepreneurs
Can you guys hear me? Give a thumbs up if you can hear me, because I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Devin?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Dave.
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you too, Preston.
Shoot, why can I not hear you? All right, try now.
Testing.
Damn it, what the hell? Super annoying. Give me 2 seconds, guys.
Yeah, take your time. But I do want to elaborate on this, guys, is sometimes we think it's the end of the world and we beat ourselves up when we go through problems, right? And not
now, guys, if you can hear me, type any questions you have in the chat and let's go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here.
I don't know why I can't hear any of the sound. No, makes no sense. I slammed the table, so maybe I broke something.
That's right.
It did make a noise when he hit the
Okay, so
testing.
here.
Yeah, I don't know why.
What the heck?
It didn't let us load in earlier either. All right, so let's see. While he's working on this, Devin, do me a favor. Keep your mic unmiked and just talk every now and then. So hopefully we hear you. I'm going to let him work, and I'm going to see what we have in the comments. I'd love to hear more about time management, says Heather. Okay, time management. Here, Heather, where's Heather? Heather, so time management, everybody always talks about work-life balance, right? Work-life balance is not real. And normally 90% of what is interrupting your time is coming from 2 or 3 large issues that if you solve will mitigate and remove 99% of the other issues that are pulling from your time. Does that make sense? Everybody's always looking for this work-life balance crap. What we really need is to, how do I explain this? Okay, so can I, to give you time management, can I go into relationship management? Because there's a critical relationship, okay? And actually, Michael, I'll hit the formula for stress in this relationship because it's critical to it. Guys, let's look at relationships on a level, top level, love, right? Love is, it doesn't necessarily mean like spouse type of love. It means just brotherly love, spouse love, doesn't matter. It's love. It's the number one. If it is your spouse, this is the person you're chasing around. If it's a friend, you always want to be around them. You're in massive rapport. That's love. Okay, so that's the top level of relationships. The next level down is going to be trust. Okay, this is, man, I'm not in love with you anymore in the same way. I still love you, but I'm not like wildly in love. I'm not with Bambi, we call Twitter-peated. Okay, but I trust you. Okay, I like you. You're safe. I'm going to stick around. Next level down, hope. Okay, hope is like, man, this is not how I wanted it to be. I wish it was better. It's not working the way we planned, but it's good. Okay, it's better than the alternative. I'm more scared of not being with you than I am of being with you. Okay, after hope, apathy. You guys know what that means. Hey, I'm done. I'm out. I'm doing whatever's best for me. I'll stay as long as, you know, it's the best thing. And if somebody else is better, I'm going there. Okay. After that, distrust. Now I'm done with you. And then last, hate. So time management, from what I've seen in most of my clients, and I'm talking clients across the spectrum. And we have high level clients, we have low level clients, and by low level clients, we've got the folks doing the $500,000 a year. Okay. And then by high level clients, we've got the folks that are in the billionaire brackets and I coach their teams. But most of the clients that I have, when they've had a time issue, we dive into faith, family, fitness, or finance. You know where we always find it? Hold on. Wait, Louise. Devin, say something real quick.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, love it.
Oh, we're back. Love it.
Apparently I slammed the table and messed up something. I don't even know. Sorry. You guys heard me slam the table, right? I didn't realize like these little like scrawny arms didn't do that. I don't know what the hell happened. Okay, we're back. So anyway, so Heather, when we're looking at this staircase of relationships, there's one critical relationship to look at, okay? And that's the relationship you have with you, okay? So you have to look at you on this staircase. Like, where am I? Am I in love? Am I in trust? Am I in hope? Am I in apathy? You know, do I not believe in myself? You know, am I in distrust? Do I not trust myself? Am I in hate? Like, I've met people that absolutely hate themselves. Like, and by the way, everybody here has felt hate, okay? And hate is, it's a tricky fucker. Like, has anybody on here maybe looked at some political figure, religious figure, or I don't know, let's say maybe even like Vladimir Putin? Probably most of you guys don't know the guy. But if you've ever thought about somebody and thought to yourself, you know, the world would be a better place if that person wasn't in it. That's hate. Like, if you would wish ill on somebody or just even kind of say, it'd be better if they weren't here, that's hate. I've known people that are like, it would be better if I wasn't here. They're typically the ones that attempt suicide. So measuring where you are at, really at on that scale with you and with your God, whoever that is, that's one. And why do I say you and your God? Because those two things are linked. Like, if you read from any book of any of the major religions that I've seen and studied, there's generally some language around, you know, the faith of mustard seed can move mountains, anything is possible, et cetera, et cetera. So like, your God thinks you're pretty great. You should probably think you're pretty great if you think your God is not full of crap. So that's the first relationship you have to measure. Then you start measuring the other relationships, okay? And then I want to give you a formula because we hit that formula piece. I don't want to miss this. Wherever you measure yourself, and if anybody wants to do this and go through an exercise with me, it'll be really fun. It'll be really fun, okay? Any volunteers? Any glutton for punishment and pain? Devin, let's go. Let's go. So, Devin, let's play this. We're gonna go and we're gonna measure yourself and just be authentic, tell the truth.
Yep.
Your relationship with you. We got love, trust, hope, and it doesn't have to be always. Everybody oscillates. Nobody's in the same place all the time. Where do you land most of the time?
Do I do like a rating from 0 to 10?
No. Just pick the one you're in. Are you in love? Are you in trust? Are you in hope? Are you in which one do you see yourself more in? Are you in love?
Trust, hope.
Apathy,
Love, trust, hope, and what's the last one?
apathy, distrust, and hate. There's 6 total levels. Everybody is in one of these 6 with every relationship they're in. But the
I
most
would
important
say trust, because there are things that there are places that I believe I'm going to go that right now that I don't see the signs. You follow me there? Like, I am trusting in something that I don't have, trusting I'm going to attain a life, things, impact in the world that right now I'm not doing, or I don't like touch and feel it, if that makes sense. But I do trust. There's no doubt that it's going to happen, but you get what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the highest level.
Okay, so much there. Guys, and Devin, you're awesome. Like, I don't think we could have got a more authentic person for this game. This is going to be fun. So I'm going to tell you what I'm reading based on what you're saying, because significant emotional events create significant emotional events. How many of you guys just heard this? And Devin's amazing. So this is not a criticism on Devin in any way. This is all positive shit. It's just, this is an awareness exercise, right? Yeah. Like, how many of you guys heard Devin said, I asked him his measurement of himself, and he linked it to trust based on measuring to an outcome. Did you guys see that? Go, okay. Yep. So if the outcome doesn't happen, is he going to start losing self-love? Because he's linking to an outcome. So that's one. By the way, can I give you guys 4 steps? I'm going to give you 4 steps of learning anything you want. Okay. 1, you are a human being. And the reason I'm challenging Devin right there, and we're going to go into stress formula in a second, Devin's a human being. So if I take a moment with him and I'm like, hey, brother, you're so much more than a fucking outcome. Like, you probably make outcomes for people all the time. Like, you got my ass on this call. You and Justin got my ass on this call. I'm not always an easy one to get a hold of. So you make outcomes happen all the time, right? Like, and you've been through some epically painful shit, right? But like, let's go to just being, okay? Level 1 of who we are. There's stillness, there's silence, there's peace, there's asking the right questions, there's listening. Next one, becoming. Well, you know the difference between being and becoming? If I'm coming to visit you, there's a verb implied, right? I'm not just the man I am, I'm the man I'm becoming. So there's movement. We cannot measure what's not moving, which that does link to an outcome in some ways, but you shouldn't measure self-love based on the outcome. It's just like, hey, this is the journey I'm on, right? Because we can't ever measure ourselves to a result. But here's the key word that I clued in on with Devin specifically. I believe it's going to happen, but I'm not seeing signs. Do y'all know what, and by the way, believe is the next phase. Being, becoming. Once you measure something, anything, you get this new thing called believing. And believing is a root word. Do you know what it stands for? Being and love. Believe, be, love. Let that one sink in for a second. Your mind is made up of a framework of beliefs. Some of them are loving and some of them are a little less loving. Which be love are you today? So being, becoming, believing, and then once you've existed there long enough, belonging. That's where you form the new plateau that you can stand on. It's a structure, it can support you, and you leverage up from there. Does that make sense? So right off the bat, Devin's going into trust. Now he knows he's a badass, okay? And anywhere where you're seeing anything that you're disagreeing with what I'm saying, Devin, challenge me, stop me, like let's dive into it. But he knows he's a badass. He knows he's incredible, but he's not seeing some results. Is that fair? We all heard that? Okay. Now, when he's not seeing those results, how is that impacting him? Is it increasing stress? Is it increasing cortisol, or is it decreasing stress if he's not seeing the results that he's looking for?
I would say increasing.
So let me give you guys a very simple formula. And if you take this and you measure it through 4 different areas, faith, family, fitness, and finance, you'll figure out where it's impacting you. Stress it's an important thing. Cortisol is an important thing. You know what happens if you have no cortisol in your body? You don't wake up the next morning. Cortisol is the biochemical that wakes your ass up. So it's a good chemical. In overabundance, it puts you in a high beta state. It actually lowers your IQ. It stresses you out all the time. It can be very terrible. In too much. So we should learn a formula. Okay. Here's something really interesting. Devin, if we were going to go and say 1 to 10 being super powerful, you seem like a high pressure, high stress guy. And pressure is the stuff that some of it's outside of your control. Like shit can happen. You can get in a car wreck. Some idiot can run into you, right? And then some of it's in your control. Some of it you're choosing to go create. But level 1 to 10, 10 being maximum, what level of pressure, whether internal or external, do you say you have in your life?
I recently done some shit that can cause pressure. So I would say an 8.
An 8.
I'm doing stuff at the level where I'm thinking now, right? So 5 years from now, when I get through these things, just like maybe this pressure that I'm at was when you were getting company 1 up to 7 figures, but it's a whole nother pressure when you're trying to take 5 companies to 7. So right now, I would say an 8 from a few things that I'm working on now, to say the least. If that helps.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So everybody look, I asked him 1 to 10, 10 being more powerful, less powerful. Okay. That 1 is like no power. 10 is ultimate power. He's choosing, and part of it's just he's an entrepreneur that's taking on more, that he wants to go create more, all that, right? So he's choosing some of this, and externally, the world is bringing him stress. So pressure is an 8. Let me give you guys a simple formula for stress. Pressure divided by resilience equals stress. Now, resilience, that's the thing you can choose. That's the thing you get to choose. That's the thing that, the faith of a mustard seed, if you want to go to that biblical reference, right? Well, when you start looking at that, okay, well, I can choose my resilience. I can go in and I can look at everything I've ever done, and I can believe that I can accomplish far more than that. Or I can say, you know what, my self-esteem is low. I've had a few failures. I'm scared of that. I don't feel like I'm resilient enough. I can't handle that. So if we're measuring resilience, like I'm a badass, I can take on the entire world as 10, and I'm done, I'm weak, I'm lost is 1, I'm broken, okay? Where are you at on resilience, Devin?
So that's where I rank high in trust, because I'm fully confident that I will be resourceful enough to always figure it out. I have full trust in that. So
You're a 10.
I wouldn't give myself a 10 just because I always feel like there's always another level. That's why I think 8's pretty comfortable for me, because I always know that there's way more room for growth with that.
So are you on an 8 for
8.
resilience?
Yeah, I would say an 8. Yeah.
Okay, so watch this, guys. You Devin, I love you. You are making this way too easy. So let's go. Pressure was an 8, right? And let's divide it by resilience.
Everybody knows I got to take out this calculator.
Yep. And then what's pressure divided by resilience? Does that, and if we turn that into a percentage, would it be 100%? Ooh, shit. Once stress hits 100% or more on this scale, your behaviors will start taking over you instead of you taking over your behaviors. Now, if he was 99% stress, not 100, it's manageable. Once you get to 100, 110, 200, whatever it is, like you can be an 8 pressure and a 4 resilience. Like you can break. People have breakdowns all the time. All of a sudden, they're at 200% stress. What do you think's happening in their marriage? You think they're being a better spouse, lover, family man, family woman? No. What do you think's happening with their kids? Are they being more present or less present? Less, right? What's happening with their health? Are they doing the junk food and all this? Yes. So anytime you see, and Devin, this is just a good check. Like, look, I'm a high achiever. I think everybody on this call is high achievers, okay? Like, let's be real. You guys could probably go do other shit with your time on a Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon for you guys, I think some of y'all, right? Like, but instead, you're sitting here going and saying, okay, well, here's this young fuck that's made a lot of money. How do I go learn how to do that shit, right? If you can get stress under 100%, it is the simplest formula. But one of the keys to doing that, measure relationships. The moment Devin's stress goes from 100 to 99, he's going to step out of trust and into love. Does this make sense, guys?
So go back real quick. So 8 divided by 8, that's what I needed to do on my calendar or calculator.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All right.
you're right at 100%.
So 1 is 100% what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. One whole number is 100%. If you were at 0.99, like watch this. Say we were an 8 in stress divided by a 9 in resilience. You'd be 88%. Where's the camera? Does that make sense?
An 8 in pressure, you mean, divided by 9 in resilience.
Pressure divided by resilience equals stress. Okay. Yep. One thing we have to learn about cortisol, guys, it's like all biochemicals are amazing. Okay. We are all drug addicts. Like, let's just be real. We're all looking when it's Valentine's Day for that oxytocin drug to come in our bodies and make us feel more loved. We're looking for that serotonin, that dopamine. The stuff our bodies make is the drugs we want. None of your bodies have an aspirin or a Tylenol deficiency. You shouldn't be taking those pills every fucking day. I don't think you need marijuana. I don't think you need any of those other things. You can do it if you want recreationally, but know that it's just, it's a high. It's not a need. But we are drug addicts, and there are drugs we are addicted to. And entrepreneurs, especially, are addicted to cortisol. We like to operate because we have been trained by society to operate in 100 to 100, generally 50% stress. When we reduce the stress by increasing resiliency or decreasing pressure, whichever it is that you have to do, whether you're moderating environment or internal. Like, and I don't like to moderate like environment and external, because you know what I can't control? I can't control everything on the external. Like if somebody does something stupid, that happens. Like you're gonna have that as a constant in life, that stuff will go wrong. If problems are the point of life, overcoming adversity is the point of life, that's gonna happen. You're gonna have issues, right? So we just have to be aware of that. So I prefer the internal resiliency. Like, okay, how deep do we go on these calls, Justin? Like, you guys want to do an exercise? You guys want to do some shit? Like,
Yeah.
do a little stress management exercise? Okay, but I'm gonna ask everybody to turn on their cameras if we do this, because I want to see you all. Like, but I will show you a stress management exercise where you can increase resiliency to a level that it is just, oh my goodness, and then you can take on the entire world. Like there's nothing that stops you. Then that faith of mustard seed thing that we all talk about, it's not just esoteric bullshit anymore. It's not some pastor from a pulpit. It's leverageable, usable. Okay? All right. Cool. So, have you guys ever done breath work exercises? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Most people think I'm absolutely nuts. Everybody has? Everybody has? Okay. So, I want to play a breath work. I see Hoff, looks like you're walking. So if you get dizzy when walking, do me a favor, like slow down. I don't want you to fall down, because some of this stuff can be pretty potent, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to do some very deep breaths, but we're going to do it with a different intention, okay? You guys down to play, or is this too woo-woo? You guys put your hands up if you're down to play, and if it's too woo-woo, you tell me. I mean, this is one of my, this is my daily. This is like my daily go-to, because my goal is epic shit. I want epic shit in my life. Like I want
Preston, real quick with your term woo-woo, I want, like, everybody at this point understands that, like, none of this external shit will ever happen to you if you don't master the internal shit, which is, by the way, the woo-woo shit that decreases step. You know what I mean? So I want everybody to know the importance of this stuff, like your stress, your anxiety, you not executing on certain things because of stories that you're telling yourself. All these things have everything to do with this woo-woo stuff that you guys all need to get better at to get to that next best version of yourself. So just know that this shit is very, 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 very important. So Preston, feel free to rock on, brother.
All right. So are you guys pretty close, group?
Emergency.
What's up?
There's a heavy gas smell, like very, very strong.
Okay, get everybody out.
We're vacating.
Get everybody out. I'll stay with you guys. I don't smell the gas. So, let's see. We're gonna do or you know what? Actually, Justin, maybe I can do this on my phone. Maybe I should get out and go do this on my phone. Did you send me a link, brother?
Yeah, I texted over to you and actually did because I was going to lose money on my bet that you were not going to be sitting still this whole time. I was shocked that you've been still for this long.
Well, apparently they're telling me there's a gas leak in my building, but we're not going to miss out. I'll just go sit in the McLaren and we'll fucking.
Don't do breath work with gas smells in your.
Yeah, that's true. Big
I don't
installations aren't good.
All right.
All right, I'll mute the other one. There we go. Now you just got to unmute your phone.
Perfect. You guys got me again?
Yep.
All right. Get everybody out. Everybody out, guys. Another adventure. Always something, man. This is fun shit. Okay. I haven't done this fire drill shit since I was in grade school. Oh, shit.
Hey,
What's up, guys?
our deals are so high. Premise.
We were getting my car, guys. Gotta call the fire department.
I'll lose him in a stairwell.
We got to wait for him to get to a neutral spot.
Always an adventure. Well,
You're breaking up. Hopefully you can hear. Preston, 1, 2, 3. Preston. Ken, I see your question. Oh, here he is. Here he is.
All right,
back?
guys.
There we
You got
go. Yeah, you're in a spaceship.
Little fire drill. Get all the employees out. Keep everybody safe. All that. So, okay. Going backwards. Thanks for having the camera on, guys. All right. So, faith, family, fitness, finance. I think I see some stuff in the comments. Got a lot of the cameras on. That's awesome. Okay. So, I want you guys to do a little memory practice with me right now. Okay. Everybody has a moment. Just do me a favor. Close your eyes. Everybody has a moment. They have a moment of absolute joy, absolute pride. It could be the last few moments with a loved one. It could be something you accomplished, someone you helped, the moment a child was born. Everyone has that moment that a defining moment in their lives where they overcame something, accomplished something, helped someone, became someone. Maybe a kid looked up at you and said, I want to be just like you, Dad. Do me a favor, put your hand up when you have your moment. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Good job. If you don't, just keep looking. Perfect. Got it, guys. Okay. So, all I want you to do, reference that moment, close the eyes, and deepen it. You can put your hands down. Deepen it, feel it, see it. Release that room. Take that place back over as if you were there again. Step right back into your own skin from that moment, that time, that memory. How did the other person's face look? Who was there with you? What were they saying? What did it mean? Who was it helping? And deepen it and feel it. So when we do our breath work, we're going to be breathing that moment in on every in-breath. Okay, you guys ready? Open your eyes. Now, shake it out a little bit. Get that moment off, because we'll go back, because we're going to do a linking exercise, right? Linking exercise to that moment, and we're going to do it real fast. And this is actually a beautiful exercise. It's going to manage your state with you, for you, all day long, daily. Now we're going to go to another moment. Okay? And this one's going to be a pain moment. This one's going to be something that hurt. These are a lot easier to find. That's why I don't start with them. Okay, close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. There you go. Good job. And start looking for that moment of regret. This is one that causes shame. Guilt is a healthy emotion. We experience it in moments. It's an indicator. Shame is when guilt lasts a lifetime. Find that moment. Raise your hand when you've got that moment that brings you shame. It could be a person you hurt, something you didn't do that you should have done, a regret you have, something you hold, failure with a child, the things you didn't say to somebody that you never get to see again. Good job. Okay. So you guys ready for the exercise? Now, this is the exercise and it's gonna go really quick, okay? Really quick, really easy. On an in-breath, I want you to immediately go back to the good moment. Good moment. And try to deepen it as fast as you can. Then out breath, you're breathing out the bad moment. We're gonna do this 30 times. You ready? All the way in, stomach breath, in good. Out bad. In good. Out bad. In. Out. Speeding up. In. Out. Speeding up. In. Out. In all the way. Out all the way. In all the way. In all the way. Out. We're going to go faster and harder. As much air in as you can get and as much air out as you can get, focusing on the good and bad moments as you inhale and exhale. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, all the way, out. Give it all you got. In, out, in, out, in, out. Now we're going to do some hypoxia here. Keep going in and out as I speak, in and out, in and out. And I'm going to explain the next steps while you're going in, out, okay? So listen to me. You're breathing in, you're breathing out. When I tell you, we're going to do 5 more breaths, full in as powerful as you can, full out as powerful as you can, as fast as you can. And on the 5th exhale, when I say when, I want you to exhale all the air out of your lungs and hold and focus on just the beautiful moment. So ready? Here we go. In, out. 5 more. In, out, in, out. Give it all you got. In, out, in, out. Last one, in, and then exhale all the way, all the air out of your lungs and hold. Exhale all the air out of your lungs and hold. You might feel some tingling. Just allow it to happen. Just let it feel. You might feel your heartbeat. Hold. This is not a competition, but this is called hypoxia breathing, guys. Focus on the beautiful moment here. With the hypoxia, you're training every red blood cell in your body, which normally carries 1 to 2 oxygen molecules at a time, to carry 4 at one time. This makes them denser, it makes them thicker, it causes more friction in every blood vessel and vein in your body, spikes energy in your body, and hyperoxygenates the entire body. Also, you're at almost a minute right now, so keep holding because we only have 20 seconds to go. And you will have held for a minute on an exhale. If you have to breathe, you can, but try not to if you can. Push the wall back. You will not die, I promise. The worst thing that happens is you fall asleep, then you wake back up with the same benefit either way. 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Breathe in and hold for 15 seconds. Breathe in and hold for 15 seconds. And just feel your body. For those of you driving, I'm glad you didn't close your eyes. Alan. And on the exhale, just relax. I don't want to go through the full exercise today, but if you do that 3 times in the morning, guys, whenever you hit stress 3 times, right after that, it takes 5 minutes. And by the way, put your hands up if you actually feel a little better and less stressed after just breathing. Do you guys know the science behind breath, how powerful it is? Do you know that your lungs, your diaphragmatic muscles operate your lymph the same way that your heart pumps blood? You have more lymph fluid in your body than blood. You know what lymph does? It takes toxins out of the blood, puts it in your urine, your defecation. So it literally detoxifies your body, and it's moved by your diaphragmatic muscles. So when we're not breathing heavily because we're under stress, our shoulders are forward, we're always on our phone, like looking down, we're not breathing heavily, guess what happens? We're not moving toxins out. We don't feel as good. When you do hypoxia and you hold the oxygen away and then you get 4 times the oxygen molecules to every blood cell in your body going forward, holy shit. We need food, water, air, and love. These are the 4 needs of the human species. So we can get twice as much oxygen from our air with a little hypoxia. You can breathe in love and that magical moment and have the exact same experience that your body had, anchoring and triggering it to your breath, which you're doing naturally 24 hours a day. Whether your mind's on it or not, you're always breathing. When you're breathing out pain and you're anchoring that. How many of you guys noticed a significant drop in stress in moments? And we only did it one time. So from a time management standpoint, sometimes it's just about shutting the mind up, getting out of 100% stress, having a simple formula that some people are like, oh, that's too simple, it will never work. Okay, well, fucking prove it wrong then. You know what happens every time? They prove it right. And it's magic or woo-woo. Does that help with the 100% stress, Devin? Where are you at now from a pressure model versus a resilience model?
Listen, I'm a firm believer in these like habits, tools, and rituals to use throughout your day, because I believe that you're never going to go through a day where you don't experience this. The key is how do you control it? What habits, rituals, things you have in place when it comes that you can beat it away and still have a great day. And this breath work, whether you're stressed out, whether something happens in your house, on your job, you use this to come back even stronger to finish your day strong. So I believe in all this stuff, man. I've never done this exercise, breathing in a pivotal moment for you, a positive moment for you, and breathing out like a negative moment for you. I've never done it like that, right? I've done like Brendan Burchard's training, and we've done a lot of breath work in that, which was awesome. Like, so I'm a firm believer in breath work. Do I do it enough? To be completely honest, absolutely not. But this is another reminder of how important it is and how I need to continue to factor this in throughout my days so I can be a better version of myself.
Let me share this with you just because you said something beautiful. I have 4 clients. 2 we know are in that billionaire bracket. Hi, Renee. And 2 we suspect are in that billionaire bracket. Just, there's clues. All of them every day do some level of breath work. All of them. And all of them every day experience miracles. Do you guys know what's better than a miracle? Not needing one. You know what's better than not needing one? Getting one anyway. We call it a blessing. Some people look lucky, and they're not lucky, guys. They're manifesting their reality. Like all that stuff, all the hippies and the yogis talk about with the vibration, it's real stuff. Like energy is real, guys. And I'm not sitting here saying you need to go like be the pot smoking tree hugging hippie or anything like that. But if you're showing up and you're not in that right state, you're not in love. I mean, in love is real easy. You're in love or you're not. And we can go through trust and hope and, apathy and all these others, but the goal is always to get back to love. Like, and we all fall out. We're all human. But if you want to take the juice and the squeeze from this life, if we want to leverage that being, that becoming, that believing, that belonging, that ladder to success, if we want to enjoy life's 4 gifts, you guys know what the 4 gifts are? Time, treasure, talent, and testimony. And you know what testimony is? It's another word for history. His story. And guys, when they came up with the word, it was a man's world. So ladies, call it her story if you want. I don't care. But God in her infinite wisdom made it a man's world back then. Now my wife has a very simple rule. She says, you men may run the world, but women own it. So as long as you know you have a glorified management job to me, and I'm the real boss. Okay, so that's her story. But history, her story. You can gender it however you want. But those 4 gifts, time, talent, treasure, and testimony, guys, you want to be receiving those every single day. Blessings are just the miracles you don't need. You can manifest anything you want in life. Everything is, it's literally moments away. Like, and all of the people that are the most successful on this planet always talk about it, but they don't give you the formula to get there. And the biggest thing we have to get out of the way is that self-doubt. When I have somebody that wants to hurt me, the number 1 weapon I would want to use against them is for them to have doubt somewhere in their life. The way that I've gotten out of nearly every litigation event was I've created doubt in the other side's team. The way that I have had victories in nearly every business, I haven't succeeded in all of them. I lost one, but I've succeeded in most. A pretty good track record. 18 up, 1 down, right? But the one that I failed in, there was doubt I had in. And if you guys want to manage time, because it was such a beautiful question that Heather asked. You got to manage the mind. You guys know what the mind is? The mind's 4 layers, okay? 86,000 different intelligences that make up 16 different categories that dive into 4 layers that you can describe as the mind. The greatest, largest layer is the soul level of intelligence, which is what we try to tap into when we're balancing ourselves and getting back into breath and getting back into who we are. Soul level intelligence, you guys have kids, you can see it. You can see their personality in them before they're conditioned by society. You already know a little bit of who they are before their conditioning happens. The next largest level of mind is called memory. And one of my businesses is home building. So I'm going to use this as soul level intelligence, an infinitely large slab that you could build any structure you wanted on. Memory, on the other hand, it's the structure. So guess what? You're limited to the house that you build for yourself, right? But memory, if you've ever seen a house under construction, it's like sticks standing there. You can still walk through the walls, right? And memory is not just the history of what happened in your life. Memory is more expansive than that. Like your body has memory. Like, you know, Michael may not remember his great-great-great-great-grandfather, but his nose lives on Michael's face today. So somehow your body has memory. There's genetic memory. There's epigenetic memory. There's the memories we have in life, okay? And so memory is the frame. Then you have identity. Identity is really interesting. That's the stucco, the brick, the sheetrock, the insulation, all the stuff that makes the walls so you can't walk through them anymore. And identity is interesting because it's who you believe you are. It's what we can sell to people, because every sale for every single business that we will ever have is a solution to someone's problem or a complement to the identity that they already had for themselves. Luxury products get you luxury margins. And what are we selling them? We're selling them. We're selling them their identity. We're just giving them the opportunity to buy them. But where identity is also who you believe you are, it's also the prison of who you're stuck being. Yogic cultures believe in this thing called unlimited identity. And they don't believe in educating people with limited identity. It's where you curate prejudice, hate, and all of that. On top of identity sits the smallest level of intelligence that we value the most in mind. It's intellect. It's the ability to be sharp enough to cut like a knife, to dissect everything. Want to understand a frog? Cut it into pieces. Want to understand your mother-in-law? Talk shit about her. Just dissect. And we all value that intellect so very much that we forget that we should always be tapping back into soul level of intelligence and expanding the structure that is memory so that we can build more of who we are. Always being that human being and always adding another room so that we can be that human becoming. Always honoring the journey that we were put here for, because there's somebody you came to help. Whatever wound you have, whatever that dark memory was that you thought of, you go back to that moment and you look at it not just from your eyes, but maybe you picture it from the other person in the room's eyes, whether they hurt you or you hurt them. Maybe it was needed. Maybe it was part of their journey. You picture it from, I don't know, what about God's eyes? What was he intending you to learn in that moment? Who did he want you to become? Was there a reason for it? And then all of a sudden you back down out of intellect and identity, and you go back into memory, and you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, and you expand your own identity, and you become something more. There's a formula for everything, guys. And when you link one formula to another formula, you find that success is not a secret. It is a science. It is a system. And when you grab all the little links and you put them together, you can take people through every single stage of entrepreneurship. There's 7 stages of entrepreneurship. Devin, I'm going to send you all 7. You can give it to everybody. There's a problem-solving formula. You can give it to everybody. Everybody on this call in the next 10 years could go out and be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Everybody. I 100% believe that. Okay? Because I've done it and I'm on my way to doing it, I think, my 3rd time. Hold on. My CEO is standing outside my car.
Hi,
Hello,
I'm
love.
so sorry. I'm letting the staff go. I told everybody to be back at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, cool.
If at the time it's still gassy, most likely we'll be back tomorrow.
Love
Just
it.
so you know, you don't go back in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Sorry. What an adventure. What a cool fucking day off for the staff, right? Hey, and we get to hang out. So this is an awesome day.
Great stuff, brother. Great stuff. And talk about wanting tactical information. That's what it's about. It's not just about motivation. It's about, okay, well, what could I do with this information? And he's given the formulas. And, you know, all I ask of everybody is just like everything else, nothing happens if you don't take action, right? So start implementing one thing, whether it's the breath work, whether it's what identity are you giving yourself, or, you know, re-listen to this when it's in the Harvest Vault. But I'll tell you what, Preston, thank you so much, man. We went over a little bit. We appreciate you being here with us. Justin, thank you again for bringing him on. I mean, dude, my eyes and my mind have opened up to, in my mind, another level of things to think about and things to put into action and new habits and new rituals. So thank you so much. And guys, remember, follow his Instagram. You will consistently get this content every day that will always feed your mind with the stuff that you want to hear and get you right back into growth mode and focused in for the day. So Preston, thank you so much, guys. Follow him, share the call. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much and have a great week. Keep doing your thing, and we look forward to following you.
Have an amazing day on purpose, guys. Thanks for having me.
Love you, brother.
Love you.
All right. See you guys.